Hey, John and Mike, brew-dudes.com, and we have an interesting brand new style of beer in front of us. It's super hot, as in like, you know, like the last 2 years.
Drop it like it's hot.
So what happened was, I'm still on the mailing list for Northern Brewer, and they had some special on the BRUT IPA. Yes, I got snuckered into buying a kit from Northern Brewer. It was an extract kit. I really thought that I had signed up to get an all-grain kit, but then it arrived on my doorstep, and it was an extract kit. And I feel like I brewed an extract beer for sure. But this is a BRUT IPA, so if you know anything about the style, it's supposed to be super effervescent and very light body, very dry, because not only you're adding enzymes into the brewing process to start breaking down more of those starches to make your wort even more fermentable than, you know, what you normally do with just your mash procedure. So I did it. I don't know. I know that you know, amylase. I know that is something that is produced.
Alpha amylase. You read about that in How to Brew, right?
But this one, I'm not.
Amyloglucosidase.
Yes, you know, it rolls right off the tongue.
Yes.
That's the first time I had ever seen that word per se.
Okay.
And then, like, I don't even know what is the difference between these two. I know you do. I'm like, what the heck is it? I just got I should have brought the vials over.
Yeah.
Just 5 milliliters each.
I'd love to see it.
It's just a dropper. It's just like, and then you just like, you take it off and you're like, there you go, and you pour it all in. So the first enzyme addition actually went into the wort.
Yep.
It went to the mash, but of course this is an extract kit. So you get water up to a certain temperature. It was 150 degrees. So I mixed the water with all the malt extract and then held that temperature for an hour so that the enzymes could do its thing in the brew kettle. So I did that, and then I boiled as was asked by the recipe, and then I cooled it down, transferred it into my fermenter, and then add that new
Amyloglucosidase.
Yes, that other enzyme to the fermenter after I
and you need to leave it in there for 2 weeks.
That's what the instructions said.
Yeah.
So I did everything by the book, which a couple of things that I don't want to bitch about it, but like the hops they selected were interesting. The dry hopping schedule was, you know, not what I would have done. Even though they said you could be flexible, I was like, well, but you're stating this in the instructions. What I was really trying to do is see if I could get the final gravity as low as this style is supposed to be. And I was able to. They said that you can get it down to even lower than 1.000. I got mine down to 10.02.
Yeah.
You know? And it's dry, but I don't know. I taste just an extract beer. I think that's.
What was the
thing.
yeast you used?
So I used, that's the other thing that's interesting. Like, I would think that you would use a different kind of yeast, maybe even like a champagne yeast to like really. No, forget that. All right.
No, we can talk about it, but
yeah, a bad idea.
It's a wild misconception.
Okay, so I used just a package of Safe Ale US-05 as specified in the recipe on the piece of paper right here in front of me.
Yep. Okay.
So that's that.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So there you got it.
I'm getting some distinct like Kraft macaroni and cheese, like the powdered cheese aroma.
Really?
At first I got like a green, grapey type of thing, which I think is what Hallertau Blanc is supposed to bring to the party.
Yeah.
I don't really. Nelson Sauvin is supposed to be a little bit more.
Those are the two hops we use. Nelson Sauvin
and Hallertau Blanc.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a little more tropical, but now that it's warmed up a little bit more, it's like orange cheese powder from a Kraft thing. With a little bit of fruit.
Getting that
some
green
high points though. Some high points though. there isn't a whole lot of bitterness in here, which is a little bit weird because I thought my understanding of Brut IPA was not to be a super dry version of New England IPA. This hopping schedule, the first hops go in
10 minutes.
with 10 minutes to go. It's a 10-minute hop stand.
Yep.
Actually, to be honest with you, a hop stand is I've boiled and stopped,
Yep.
and I add the hops for 10 minutes.
Yep.
So that seems a little bit weird to me. I thought Brut IPA was more of a West Coast thing, just super, super dry. This is more of a New England or hop bursting, I'll just call it hop bursting schedule. It's interesting that they use these two hops. I'm getting a little bit of like herbal dryness now from the hops on my palate. But it is dry. I'll give it that. It's dry. The body is low to medium. So I think the enzymes have done their thing, but there is it's a little maltier than certainly. I don't think you could do Brut IPA from an extract because extracts just have an inherent amount of non-fermentableness. Now, granted, actually, to be honest with you,
I would think
adding those enzymes, you've actually cut through the extract, right? Because you're at 10:02.
Yes.
Which is pretty interesting.
Yes.
That you're there. But aside from that, I don't know. I'm not sold on it. You know, I think 2 videos ago we sort of revealed that I'm sort of down on all these hoppy beers anyway right now. But I'm really curious to try an all grain Brut IPA as well. They call this Brut Dry IPA, so isn't that cute? I don't know. This I don't know if you're into this thing. I'm not saying you shouldn't try it, but I would get the enzymes and try it with hops that you're more familiar with than these two in combination. It wouldn't taste any different if it was sitting at like 10-10. It would just be a little bit more malty if the enzymes hadn't been in there. So just a word on the enzymes. They're both of these enzymes are amylase enzymes, meaning they break down starches. They just break down starches in different ways. Amylase is classically, we know it to be a 2 glucose molecules all struck together make starch. So somewhere in there you can cut what's called a 1,4 cleavage, and all that is how the 2 glucose molecules come together, because there's 6 carbons in glucose. So when carbon number 1 and carbon number 4 stick together, that's a 1,4 bond. Amyloglucosidase can cleave 1,4s and 1,6s, if I remember right. So it
breaks it down further.
It's just breaking it down further.
So it's more food for the yeast.
Well, yeah, it's basically creating more, instead of just long strings of glucose, which glucose is 100% fermentable. Yeah. You're trying to liberate as much of it as possible, so it's all fermentable. It's like adding honey to your wort, right? Or replacing malt with sugar. Yep. Because you're even getting rid of the maltose.
Yes.
Right? So
true that. So I think that for me, I'd like to do this again, doing a all grain mash, using the enzymes as instructed on where to put them in, especially in the mash, to see if I could really get the most fermentable wort I could.
I mean, it's a clean ferment, and it fermented right. I think I just don't like the kit.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't like the hops.
The hop selections, I think that we could do better.
I love a dry beer, and I think it's interesting. I don't want to spend extra money on enzymes to get beer this dry, but the funny thing is, we talk about it being super dry. I'm not like, we're like, oh my gosh, it's so dry.
Yeah, it's not like,
but then again, maybe there's some of that lingering, like, tingle from the hops is the fact that it is so dry that there's no counterpoint to what alpha acid is on my palate. Excuse me.
So your problem with champagne yeast is that
champagne yeast is genetically evolved to break down fruit sugars, mostly simple sugars. When you put champagne yeast in a maltose-based beer, it does not do well with the maltose. It does not dry your beer out, despite misconceptions.
Okay.
So if you have a stalled ferment, you add you have a stalled ferment, and people say, oh, add champagne yeast, because people think because it's high alcohol, somehow it's going to get in there, and it'll find some sugars, some simple sugars, but it's not going to touch maltose or anything more complex than that. And when you add it, maybe you agitate, you probably introduce a little oxygen, so the yeast you already have comes back to life and gives you the extra ferment. But it wasn't the champagne yeast that got you there.
What if you added some of these enzymes and then the champagne yeast in your
I mean, I think you're creating a lot more glucose, so yeah,
I'm kidding.
You probably could
I
do
wouldn't
it.
do that to any beer, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. You can do this just as well with like a Belle Saison yeast, Belle Saison from whatever that is, Lallemand, I think.
Yeah.
Saison yeast brings some enzymes to the party where it breaks down the sugar. That's why Saisons ferment out really dry.
Yep.
In Belle Saison, if you pitch enough of it, so it doesn't grow much, you don't really get much flavor. You could probably get this dry with a Saison yeast and not get much Saison character.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So what do we learn?
I think we learned that.
Don't buy kits from Northern Brewer?
Yeah, no, I think
kidding.
Northern Brewer's got some great products and stuff. I think this is just an attempt to like get something out to the home brewing force, because you need these enzymes to do brewed IPA.
True.
And if you don't really understand enzymes or where to get them, then you're going to find them in a kit like this. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think the only thing that's wrong with it is we don't like those hops.
Yeah.
Right? I think the enzyme thing worked. I mean, it's dry. It's everything it's supposed to be. I just really don't like Nelson or Hallertau in this presentation.
In this beer, yeah.
Hallertau Blanc.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
I think that's the only detractor.
All right. Well,
So I think it's perfectly good. If you like those hops, then it probably works for you.
Yeah.
Give it a go. Give it a go and let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Tell us that we're overly biased against those two hops.
I know. I think that I just like Galaxy, I guess.
Yes.
And who doesn't? All right. Well, that's my attempt at the Brut Dry PA, the Brut IPA. I don't know. Again, I think that I think if I were able to use an all-grain recipe and mash it, I'd feel a little more confident with how it came out.
Yeah, and for having all the complex sugars broken down, it should be clearer than this too.
Yeah. Again, we never know like how fresh the extract is, but you go with what you got. So anyway, that's what we have. So if you like this style and you've brewed before, give us some ideas of like your experience with it. Like, did you use different hop varieties? How did you use the enzymes? Again, we just followed the kit as it was written. But any tips that you can share with us and the audience at large would be awesome. So, thank you for watching. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel, please.
Yes.
And keep watching because we do this every week. For John and Mike, brew-dudes.com. Brew on.
Cheers.